we laughing? Because many of us can relate to this scene. At one time or another, we've all seen someone, or maybe been guilty ourselves, of using a ladder unsafely. And while Charlie Chaplin's escapade was meant to be funny, ladder accidents are no joke. The facts are startling. Thousands of people die every year because of falls. And 80% of all injuries involving falls from accidents, fatal and non-fatal, are caused by simple carelessness and the failure to use ladders properly.
I admit that my accident was the result of carelessness. I was on an extension ladder, doing some painting. I leaned over to the right to reach the far edge of the wall, and the ladder just went over. I fell 8 feet down onto a concrete floor. I was lucky to get away with only a broken arm.
I was using the stepladder to reach a light fixture. The burnt-out bulb was just beyond my grasp, so I went to the very top of the ladder. I lost my balance, the ladder went out from under me. I grabbed onto the thing nearest to me. Down I went with the light fixture in my hands.
I never used a tool belt in my life. I always carried my tools up the ladder when I needed them. I either placed them on top or hung them on the rungs. If they fell, they fell. Nobody got hurt. Then the other day, my buddy Bill was walking by the ladder and a hammer fell. He hit him right on top of the head. I can't tell you how bad I felt about it.
At home and at the office, it's easy to take ladders for granted. But when you think about the thousands of people who are injured every year because they don't know the rules for safe ladder use, it makes sense to learn the 7 steps to ladder safety. So let's start with our first step. Never use a substitute instead of a ladder. Are you one of the many people who think it's all right to use a couple of boxes as a makeshift ladder? But what do you think would happen if the boxes collapsed while you were standing on them? And what might happen if you use a chair instead of a ladder? One false movement could send the chair rolling or could tip it over. How many times have you been tempted to use a shelf as a makeshift step stool? And what are the chances of escaping injury if the entire shelf tips over? To avoid becoming an injury statistic, never use a substitute when the job calls for a ladder. Sure, it might be easier to grab a nearby chair or to stand on a shelf, but is it worth the risk? Use a ladder and use it safely. Which brings us to our second step. Know what kind of ladder to use.
This one seems to be the lightest. I can take it by myself. You get the toolbox.
Are you kidding? We're going to be repairing a light fixture first. You can't use an aluminum ladder near electricity. You could get fried. Let's take the wooden step ladder.
I know that shelf is pretty high, but maybe this small step ladder will reach it. I don't know, though. After that fall I had before, maybe I shouldn't take any chances. I'll go ask Phil to give me a hand with the larger ladder.
It's very important to make sure you get the proper ladder for the job. Choose a step ladder when you need to reach a high shelf, change a light bulb, or when there's no support wall to lean a straight ladder against. But remember, you should never climb higher than the second tread from top. Choose a straight ladder when the job allows you to anchor the top of the ladder against a sturdy surface, like a wall, a roof, or a ledge. If the ladder is too short for the job, don't tie 2 straight ladders together to make a longer ladder. Use an extension ladder. Aluminum ladders are lightweight and sturdy. But since they also conduct electricity, never use them when you're working near a power source. Then you're just asking for an accident. Now on to step number 3. Every time you use a ladder, you need to inspect it carefully. Be sure to look at the rungs or steps, checking that they're not cracked or loose. Examine the ladder's braces, rails, and hardware to be sure everything is in good repair. Make sure the ladder has non-slip, sturdy safety feet. When using an extension ladder, inspect the ropes and pulleys thoroughly. Make sure they're adequately lubricated and working smoothly without being frayed. And be sure to check the locking mechanisms. If you that the ladder you want to use is in poor repair, don't take any chances. Tag or mark the ladder to make sure no one else uses it, and find another ladder for your job. If you determine that your ladder is safe to use, then you're ready for step number 4. Set up the ladder properly. Whenever you set up straight or extension ladder, use the 4-to-1 rule. In other words, the ladder base should be 1 foot away from the wall for every 4 feet of the ladder's height to prevent the ladder from tipping backwards from the weight.
Now, wait a minute, Bob. You put the ladder too close to the wall.
What do you mean too close?
I mean, you won't be able to climb high enough to reach the ceiling without the ladder tipping backwards.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
When you set up your ladder, make sure the feet are angled to sit firmly on a level, non-slip surface. If you're using a step ladder, make sure that the braces are fully locked. If you're using an extension ladder, make sure that the sections overlap by at least 3 feet and are well locked to guarantee the ladder's rigidity. And no matter what type of ladder you're using, make sure that both rails are resting on a solid top support. Now, just as there are things that you should do when setting up your ladder, there are things that you shouldn't do if you want to work safely. For example, never lean a ladder against an unstable surface, such as a stack of boxes or tubs, a tier of shelves, or a piece of furniture. Don't set a ladder in front of a door that opens towards you, unless you're sure that the door is locked or blocked, or if you have a partner standing by to make sure no one uses the door. And never use an extension ladder to mount a roof platform unless the top of the ladder extends at least 3 feet beyond the edge of the platform. Once you've set your ladder up safely, all you have to do is grab a hold of the rungs and climb, right? Wrong. There's a lot more to it than just putting 1 foot above the other. And while many safe climbing rules involve nothing more than common sense, it's important for you to be fully aware of how to climb the ladder safely. Before you set 1 foot on the ladder, inspect the bottoms of your shoes and the rungs or steps of the ladder to make sure there's no dirt, grease, or any other slipping hazard. As you begin to climb, be sure to face the ladder and hold on to the side rails with both hands as you ascend. If you must carry tools with you on the ladder, wear a tool belt. This enables you to use both hands while climbing, and it also eliminates the unsafe practice of hanging tools from the ladder while you're working. When using a step ladder, never climb higher than the second tread from the top. When using an extension or straight ladder, go no higher than the 3rd rung from the top. And never race up or down a ladder. You could miss a step and take a fall. Remember, whether you're climbing a ladder at a height of 2 feet or 40 feet, the same precautions apply. And no matter what type of ladder you're using, you still need to follow safe work procedures. Which brings us to step number 6. Practice safe work habits.
Boy, this thing is really shot. I'll have to replace it. Gus, will you throw me up the Phillips screwdriver?
Are you crazy? You could fall off making the catch, or if you miss it, could hit me. Come down here and get it.
How many times have we seen people tossing tools back and forth to one another off a ladder? Have you counted the times that the tool fell to the floor, narrowly missing a head? Or the times the person on the ladder made a daredevil catch, letting go of the ladder with both hands? Don't toss tools to a work partner while you're on a ladder. You're asking for accidents when you do. And while we're dealing with don'ts, don't ever let more than one person get on a ladder at the same time. The extra weight could throw both of you off balance. When you're standing on any ladder, work only within arm's reach. Don't lean to either side and run the risk of causing the ladder to sway or topple. Don't walk a ladder while you're on it. It's not a pogo stick. If you need to move the ladder, get down off it and reposition it. Don't use a ladder in the middle of a heavily trafficked area unless you've barricaded your work area or posted warning signs nearby. Be especially cautious if you're working near a doorway or around a blind corner. It might be a good idea to have a partner stand guard while you work, too.
Well, all done. That job didn't take long.
Let's get this stuff back in the supply room.
It's not enough to know how to set a ladder or how to climb it or how to do your job when you're on it. The 7th step in ladder safety is to carry the ladder correctly. If you're carrying a straight ladder, an extension ladder, or as in this case, a large step ladder, you may need a partner to help you. If you do, make sure both of you stand on the same side and keep in step as you walk with ladder. It's also important to work out hand or voice signals when carrying a ladder with a partner. Too many accidents happen when one person makes a sudden stop or decides to turn a corner without letting the other one know what's going on. There are also precautions to take when you're carrying a ladder by yourself. To carry a smaller step ladder, grasp it near the center. Keep the front end high enough to clear a person's head and the back end near the ground. This way you won't hit anyone as you go around a corner. Well, there you have it, 7 steps that will help you use ladders safely. Let's run through them one more time. 1. Never use a substitute. 2. Know what kind of ladder to use. 3. Inspect your ladder. 4. Set up the ladder properly. 5. Climb the ladder properly. 6. Practice safe work habits. And 7. Carry the ladder correctly. And finally, observe one last unwritten rule. Use your common sense. By doing that, you'll never end up like this.